You would think building and upgrading a small-scale crawler would be an easy task, but I started this project way back when the Axial Bronco SCX24 was released. And I built this just to have some fun in the backyard. In today's video, I'm going to show you the parts that I selected for this particular build, tell you why I chose them, and then we're going to take it out to see how it performs. I had a lot of fun while I was building this project. It started life off as an Axial SCX24 Bronco ready to run. It's the hard body, and the modifications I made to the body itself were I got rid of the roof rack, the interior, and the front bumper just to help lighten things up so it doesn't want to roll so much when I'm going over the rocks outside. I also made changes to the wheels and tires. As you can see, these are aftermarket from Power Hobby. These are armor tires. They've got a nice soft lug to them. And then the wheels are a weighted wheel. They're aluminum in the center and they've got a brass ring to help keep the weight down low and keep this thing planted. Really like the look of these wheels, kind of method-like. All right, let's pull the body off so I can show you what I did inside. So there's not a lot of stock parts left on this rig. The frame rails are stock, some of the hardware, the steering knuckles, and the internal components of the axles are still stock. The rest of it has been changed out. Let's start off with the changes I made to the chassis. It's got a hot racing front bumper mount, and you don't really need it on it, but I just like the way it looks, so I left it up in the front there. And then these are Bauhaus racing plates that allow you to go and mount your electronics wherever you want them inside the chassis. Got a nice long plate in the rear that I had to modify slightly to fit the transmission, and then it's got this front plate up here where you could go and mount a battery. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that because of the motor I selected, and I did have to do a little bit of grinding with a Dremel tool to make these parts fit, but it wasn't too much. Now onto the suspension. I have Endura links on this. I found these on Amazon. They were super cheap and they're high clearance links. They go together really well, and I like that they have aluminum pivot balls with the kit. The shocks are from Power Hobby. They're just air shocks with springs on the inside for rebound. This is one thing where I wish I picked an oil-filled shock, but if you are looking for a shock that requires zero maintenance, that just looks really cool, it's got a thick shock shaft to it, that's where these would come into play. But I think I might swap these out in the future for some oil shocks. Let's move on to the drivetrain. Now up front, I've got Power Hobby axles. Actually, I've got Power Hobby axles front and rear. I did go with CCX RC front and rear brass diff covers. This will also add some weight down low. And then from the axles, I have Trio slider drive shafts. These are steel and these look pretty solid. And they bolted right up to the FuriTech Stellar transmission that I have in the center. This was actually a combo that came with the Komodo motor. Really nice setup. I like that the aluminum casing on here bolted right into the stock lower skid plate, and the gearing in here is nice and smooth. It's got a reduction to it that's going to make this thing crawl really slow. And it's driven by this Komodo 1400 Outrunner motor. This thing looks really cool when you're driving. You almost want to leave the body off just so you can see the Outrunner motor turn, but really nice setup from FuriTech. And the speed controller for it is actually mounted under this Bauhaus plate that I showed you. There's just enough clearance under there. I wanted to keep everything low, and it's really easy to hook this thing up. Then for the rest of the electronics, I've got a Spectrum radio system in here. There is the 315 receiver, and then up front I went with a Reef's 99 micro servo. Reef has some really awesome servos for all different scales. He's really well known in the crawler crowd, and I have one of his servo horns on the front as well, swinging this Trio steering link setup that I got off of Amazon. Now finally, to power this little rig, I actually stole the battery out of my Hobby Plus rock van. It was just a nice small narrow battery, 600 milliamp. All right, I've only had this thing powered up in the shop to check it out, make sure it works. Now we need to head outside and see how it performs. Okay, so we're out in my backyard at the crawl wall where I take some rock crawlers out just to have some fun with them. We'll see if the new SCX24 project here can handle it. I love the slow crawl of this speed controller system. It works so smooth. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Those high clearance links, no problem over that. Now here's a real challenge for it. Let's see if these tires hook up. Look at that. It's almost effortless. Oh, there we go. Oh, we got it. I thought we were just got some wheel spin. I would have to punch it, but no problem. Now this is tricky. Slide down that. All right, this is going way better than I was expecting. All right, we've got a lot of off-camber stuff here. And usually I just drive 10 scale here, but we'll see what it does. You can see the shocks just not compressing like they should because they're just air shocks. But it's still doing well. And this is another tricky transition here. Those high clearance links. I think we're gonna need some wheel speed. Oh, we're hung up. Saved it. Now let's see if we can make these transitions here. Man, I just love how slow this thing goes. Plenty of steering, plenty of muscle from that reef system. Now this gap, way too much probably. Oh, nailed it, look at that. I think we need some wheel speed to bridge that gap. Yeah. Whoa, look at that tilt. Now if we still had all this stuff on the body, that would probably go over. Am I gonna be able to save this? Back out, oh yeah. Oh, that suspension is just unloading. Come on. I think it's gonna go over this time. Like I said in the beginning of the video, building up a project is no easy task, but I think I've got a pretty good start here with this Bronco build. I already have a few ideas of things I want to change up, things like the shocks and probably a new chassis, but hopefully out of the 20-ish products that I showed you guys today, something in there has inspired you for your build. I'll have links for everything in the video description below, and if you have one product that you absolutely would suggest for an SCX24 owner, let us know what it is in the comment section below.